Camera bags, camera bags, camera bags. These are 3 different camera bags. We have a small bag, really super lightweight. We have a nice antique leather bag, it's kind of a medium weight. And then we have a large format bag, which is, well, I guess for medium format film and cameras, but a larger bag that's a little more heavy duty, a little bit more physically imposing, as you can see. So all of these bags are emptied. I think the most important thing whenever it comes to filling and choosing a camera bag is, does it have basically the interior specs and the exterior specs. One, is it rugged? Like, can it get wet? Can it get dirty without too much trouble? Does it have a good strap, or can you put a good strap on it? And does it have like actual separators? This one has no separators, which it actually supports separators with this little Velcro line is right here. This one is full of separators. These are movable. You can Velcro them out, switch them around. And this one has no separators because it's an old school, doesn't even support them. It's just leather. So I have these 3 bags. I'm gonna fill each one. So I like to use this bag about 99.9% of the time. That's because I like quick stuff that I can carry around that's small, can fit into another backpack, and it's crazy lightweight. But that's also my personal shooting style. I don't shoot with a huge camera. I don't use telephoto lenses 99% of the time, so I'm using really lightweight stuff. This is a great old school bag for film. It has a dedicated film pocket. A lot of these do. This has a really particular feel to it. It has a really heavy duty zipper, and basically it's just gonna keep your film protected. So if I was filling this with a film camera, I would probably toss in my Canon Rebel G, which is just this awfully shitty, wonderful, super cheap Canon camera. This camera is like 20 bucks or maybe even less than that, but it shoots beautiful photographs and it works every time, and it supports the EOS lens format, which is awesome. So you can use just about any lens on it or any lens adapter. So it's got film. I don't have a strap on this one, but you should definitely have a strap, and it'll go in here. And I would probably include like a roll of film. So here's a roll of film. I would put it in the canister, but you know, I'm just gonna toss it in here, and now it's in my film pocket. This front pocket, I might include a few filters. I don't have any filters here at home right now, but filters that go on the end of the lens, maybe some extra lens caps or hoods if I have a hood. That's like the part that extends past the lens. But for this, I use this one lens on this camera because it works. It's 28 to 105, so it's got a huge range. I mean, it's 35 millimeter, right? So it's shooting medium form or full frame. Yeah, great little camera, and that's how I would fill this bag if I was shooting film. Whenever I'm shooting digital, I usually use my Olympus Pen. I love this camera because it's tiny, weighs basically nothing, and it shoots gorgeous photographs, and it uses a micro four thirds lens format. So this micro four thirds lens mount, this MFT mount is what some people call it, was kind of like I don't even know how to explain it. It's really more for video than for stills, but it has become adapted for stills. So for me, since I shoot video and stills, I have a bunch of cameras that use this, like basically all my film camera, my video cameras can use this lens as well as my still camera. This is a still camera. I love this little camera. It's got a flippy screen, which is always useful. It shoots crazy fast. It can do crazy high burst modes. It's got this great vintage look. It has, you know, basically just the bare minimum of settings, but it shoots beautifully on a professional level, so I highly recommend it. So that goes in here, and I'm rocking an old Canon EOS strap, but that'll go in here. Here's a lens for it. This is a 20 millimeter lens. This is actually a 40 millimeter lens because this has a crop factor of 2x. So this lens is on it right now is a 45, right? So it says 45 millimeters. It's actually a 90 millimeter lens if we were to compare it to 35 millimeter film. So it's quite zoomed in. This is a perfect portrait lens. This is a perfect street photography lens. So that's what I use them for. This Lumix lens is tiny, it's expensive, but it's tiny and it works really crazy well. I think this is a 1.8 and this is a 1.7, or maybe this is a 1.7 and that's a 1.8. I guess let's see if it has it listed directly on it. It might be on the front face. It is a 1.7 lens. So anyways, it's a crazy great lens, and both of these are actually excellent lenses. So I just toss both of them in there like that. And then I have a lot of batteries for this camera. So here's a basic charger for it. I try to go with the smallest charger possible. So this is a third-party charger, it's not official. And it just flicks out like that, so save some space. And I have 2 batteries out of the camera, 1 battery in the camera, so 3 batteries in total. Whenever you're traveling, and this is super important, the TSA does not want you to have, especially internationally, just have batteries out floating like this in your bag, because they can hit, contacts and sparks can be made. It's extremely rare, but it could happen. So what they want you to do is they want you to pop this onto the charger or put black electrical tape on the ends of your batteries. I like to pop it on the end of the charger. This goes in the front pocket, okay? Or this goes in the body pocket. And then I take this additional battery, and as long as it's in a separate pocket, you're safe. So you got 1 battery in the camera, 1 battery on the charger, 1 battery in here. If I was bringing a film camera, I could put film and stuff in here, but I'm not. I might put some filters in here. This has a hood already built onto the lens. You can see right here, I'm screwing it off. There's a little lens hood for that 45mm lens. Occasionally, I do have some zoom, some telephoto. This is hard to do with one hand. I do have some zoom lenses for this. Here's an example of another Olympus that I own that has a zoom lens. But for me, I don't necessarily, I mean, I just don't really shoot like, you know, I don't shoot sports or anything like that. So I don't need a zoom lens. Yeah, so this is like the minimal, lightest setup. I will put my SD cards in here. I will show you my SD card holder. This is my Zippity-Doo-Dah SD card holder. It's a Ziploc bag. Do not waste money on buying a dry bag. Just get a cheap-ass Ziploc bag. Put your SD cards in it. Call it good. So that goes into this pocket up here. Zip up. You're good to go. So we filled up this one. We filled up this one. Let's fill up our medium format now. Just found this, forgot to mention this. So here's the foam dividers for this one, for this camera bag. So these guys, if you have a nice bag, it'll have these dividers. So you can use these to separate your actual camera body from the other elements. So it's pretty simple to use. You just pop it in, attach it to the sides here. Let's see, there's like this little Velcro strip. And once it's in and good to go, then you can customize the size and prevent these elements from touching other parts. Again, I think it's overkill. I don't usually do it too much with this one, but I will usually toss one in. So let's move on to the medium format bag. So here is my really beautiful and amazing Mamiya C220, which is your typical high-end medium format camera. This is a really unique medium format camera in that the lenses are actually interchangeable. So here's how this camera basically works. You look down the top up here, it looks through this top lens. The lens that's actually shooting is this bottom lens. So this bottom lens is the actual shutter. You can see there's, it's actually closed right now. So if I cocked it and then we fired it, this little thing would open. But this is actually interchangeable. So right now it has an 80mm on it, which is like equivalent. It's like a 200mm or something crazy like that. But basically, or I'm sorry, flip that. It's not 200. It's the opposite. It's like 40. Basically, we're able to exchange these. So there's other lenses. They have like a 210. They have like a smaller lens that you can swap on these. I don't carry those with me, but here's the basic body of the camera, just to show you because it's always a cool moment. I'll flick up the top here. So the top, you look down into it, and let's see if you can actually see it. There you go. And now you're seeing through this camera. You can see the crazy depth of field in this thing, right? Intensely shallow depth of field. So with a camera like this, how do we transport it? It's really heavy. It's got a lot of stuff on it. So I always bring a camera strap with these. I always bring a hand strap with these. So one of those goes on your hand, it goes on the side right here, and you can hold your hand against the camera. One of them goes around your neck. I do both of those because you don't want to break an expensive camera like this. And then the other thing that I do is I always Make sure it's as compact as possible, so it's all put back to normal. Got this lens cap on here. And then, sorry, hard to do with one hand. And then in the actual bag, this is where you really do want to customize the placement of these. So this is really customized right now to exactly what we need. So this camera body fits perfectly right here. I have it wedged and really tight in here with the different pieces on every single side of it. So I have a piece here, because you really don't want this thing getting hurt in a flight. I put the straps on the far side over here, and then I will put other lenses here. I will put film up in the top. So again, we have a little film bag up here. And then there's lots and lots of pockets that I'll fill with other things. I always bring a shutter release as well. So I have a short shutter release and I have a longer shutter release. I'll usually bring two and put them in here. This is also great for like, if you have any sorts of mounts or things that you need to bring, you can toss them in here. What's great about a bag that's this size is that I can fill it with this old school medium format camera. And because it's so massive, I never want to bring two bags ever. So what I'll do is I'll actually take my smaller format digital camera, and it can fit perfectly right here. Just wrap that around, put a lens right here. So now I'm rocking digital and analog at once. Put my battery pack up here, put my other film and other things, my filters and stuff in other places. So now this bag is heavy, full of stuff, but we're good to go. This last bag, you might see these vintage bags and be tempted to buy them because they're beautiful. They are beautiful. I would recommend getting something practical first and then getting these. They don't offer much protection. I only use this on my cheapo film cameras. So I'll toss a film camera in here if I don't care too much about the damage it's gonna take. Oh, the other thing, I forgot about this. The other thing that I'm going to include with this bag, the light meter. This is a wonderful light meter, doesn't use batteries. It uses a special radioactive isotope to do its job. You hit the button, the little meter moves, the little pin just moved. Flip it around. Tells you what to set your camera settings to. It's a little pain in the ass to read once you figure it out. Has this little adapter that replaces this white bulb up here. This is for different types of light. There's a little key on the back. This thing, I mean, you know, my father-in-law has had this for like 100 years. Now I've had it, still works perfectly fine. So this light meter I include in this bag always with my medium format.